The base was quiet that evening, too quiet for a training day. The sky above Camp Sentinel had turned a dim orange, washed with streaks of purple as the sun slipped behind the far ridge. Most of the battalion had wrapped up their drills, weapons were being cleaned, bunks were being reset, and the chatter of tired soldiers echoed faintly across the concrete. But for Lieutenant Harper Blake, the day had just begun. She walked across the courtyard with a calm that made her seem almost invisible. Her uniform was plain, her boots dusty, her hair tied in a neat, regulation bun. To everyone around her, she was the soft-spoken logistics officer who handled supply routes, transport coordination, and emergency inventory audits, essential work, but hardly glamorous. She never bragged, never showed temper, never drew attention. She blended into the background so effortlessly that people often forgot she was even in the room. And that, she had learned, was her greatest tactical weapon. 3 soldiers watched her from the far end of the courtyard: Staff Sergeant Kane, Corporal Rigg, and Private Lucas. They weren't bad soldiers, but arrogance had chewed at them long enough to hollow out their discipline. They were strong, proud, and eager to prove themselves. They were also tired of hearing rumors about the quiet logistics lieutenant who supposedly could teach most of the battalion a thing or two about tactical planning, or so their commander often hinted. They didn't believe it. To them, Harper Blake looked small, harmless, and almost delicate. The kind of officer who filed paperwork and stayed away from the action. Kane nudged Rigg with an elbow. "You see how she walks? Like she's floating. Bet she's never held anything heavier than a clipboard." Rigg smirked. "Let's find out." Lucas hesitated. He wasn't as bold as the other two, but peer pressure was a vicious thing, especially in the military. "Sergeant, maybe leave her alone. She hasn't done anything." "That's the point," Kane replied. "We've all busted our asses today. She just strolls around like she owns the place." None of them knew her classified file. None of them had the clearance to access it. And none of them could have imagined that beneath her quiet demeanor was a career carved in steel and fire. Missions that didn't officially exist, operations conducted in darkness, lives saved in silence. Harper Blake was a Navy SEAL, but not the public kind. She was part of a covert unit trained to disappear, to infiltrate, to neutralize threats in mere seconds. She had fought in corners of the world where rules blurred and survival depended on skill alone. She had disarmed hostage-takers in narrow corridors, swum through frigid black waters toward enemy hulls, and survived ambushes that would have broken most seasoned warriors. But here, she simply maintained the supply logistics of Camp Sentinel, blending into normalcy like a ghost wearing a uniform. Harper sensed the 3 soldiers before she saw them. Years of conditioning had trained her to read footsteps, the rhythm of breath, the intention behind movement. She was reviewing a shipment list on her tablet when she heard them split off from the walkway and approach her at an angle meant to block her path. She slid the device into her pocket and kept walking. Kane stepped in front of her. "Lieutenant Blake." She stopped. "Staff Sergeant Kane." He folded his arms. "We wanted to ask you something." Her eyes flicked briefly to Rigg and Lucas, who had positioned themselves to the side, not aggressively yet, but intentionally. A triangular formation. Sloppy, but enough to corner someone with no combat training. "What's on your mind?" she asked. Rigg grinned. "We were wondering, do you actually do anything around here besides paperwork?" Harper remained still, expression unreadable. "Logistics keeps your unit alive. Food, ammo, transport, medical, none of that moves without my team." Kane scoffed. "Yeah, but real soldiers use their hands, not keyboards." Lucas looked uncomfortable. "Guys, this isn't necessary." "It's fine," Harper said gently. "If you're asking whether I'm capable, then yes, I am." Rigg laughed. "Prove it. Right here. A small drill. Just for fun." Harper looked at them with a calm that was almost soft. "This is not the right place or time." Kane stepped closer, trying to use his height to intimidate. "Come on, Lieutenant. You hiding behind your desk? Or behind that rank?" She didn't move. "No, I'm just reminding you of protocol." "Protocol?" Rigg repeated mockingly. "We're not gonna hurt you." Harper exhaled slowly. The wind lifted a few strands of hair near her temple. She wasn't angry. She wasn't afraid. She was simply disappointed. She had seen this pattern before, in young recruits desperate to prove strength, in soldiers mistaking aggression for dominance, in men who didn't yet understand that respect wasn't earned through intimidation. "Last chance," she said. "Walk away." Kane smirked. "Make us." The courtyard was empty, perfectly quiet, and then, in 12 seconds, everything changed. Kane moved first, reaching for her arm in a clumsy attempt to grab her. Harper pivoted, redirecting his momentum with barely a touch. He stumbled forward as she swept his leg with surgical precision, sending him crashing to the ground before he realized he'd lost balance. Rig lunged. She ducked under his swing, stepped into his centerline, and tapped his sternum with 2 knuckles, fast, controlled, but powerful enough to knock the wind from him. He collapsed to one knee, gasping. Lucas hesitated too long. Fear rooted him in place. But his delay became a threat when he clenched his fists and charged, more scared than aggressive. Harper sidestepped him gracefully, caught his wrist, and lowered him to the ground with a joint lock so clean it could have been performed in a textbook demonstration. 12 seconds. 3 trained soldiers incapacitated. Harper stepped back, breath steady. "The drill is over," Kane groaned, rolling onto his side. What the hell was that?" Harper offered him a hand. He didn't take it. Rig stared at her, still winded. "How did you?" Lucas sat on the ground, stunned. "Ma'am, who are you?" Harper looked at them for a long moment. Not with triumph, not with superiority, but with the quiet sadness of someone who had hoped they wouldn't force her to reveal the part of herself she tried so hard to move beyond. "I'm someone who believes in discipline," she said softly. "And restraint. And knowing when not to fight." Before any of them could respond, a deep voice echoed from behind. "Lieutenant Blake." Commander Royce walked toward them, tall, broad-shouldered, his uniform sharp, his expression unreadable. The 3 soldiers scrambled to their feet, standing at rigid attention despite their bruised pride. Royce studied the scene for only a moment before he spoke. "I saw the whole thing." Kane swallowed hard. "Sir, we were just violating protocol," Royce cut in, "and attempting to intimidate a superior officer." Rig's throat clicked. "Sir, we didn't know that she's one of the most decorated covert operatives our Navy has ever produced." Royce stepped beside Harper. "That she trained half the instructors who trained you. That she has more combat hours than your entire platoon combined." Lucas's eyes widened. "Sir, she's logistics." Royce exhaled sharply. "Lieutenant Blake is logistics because she's earned the right to choose peace after a lifetime of war." The courtyard fell silent. The wind shifted. A flag snapped in the distance. None of the 3 soldiers could meet Harper's eyes. "When I assigned her here," Royce continued, "I hoped she'd be treated with respect. Instead, you challenged her like schoolyard bullies." Kane's voice cracked. "Commander, we're sorry. You will be." Royce's tone hardened. "Effective immediately. All 3 of you are removed from field rotation. You'll undergo disciplinary review, retraining, and evaluation. If you fail to demonstrate professionalism, your military careers end here." A heavy weight sank into the air. Rig lowered his head. "Sir, understood." Royce dismissed them with a sharp gesture. They walked away slowly, each carrying the sting of humiliation, but also the clarity of a lesson they would never forget. When they were gone, Royce looked at Harper. "Are you all right?" She nodded. "I'm fine. You didn't want to expose yourself." "No," she said quietly. "But they needed to learn." "Sometimes," Royce replied, showing strength is the only way to teach respect. Harper didn't answer. Her gaze drifted toward the fading horizon, where the sky was now a deep purple streaked with gold. She had spent years fighting in shadows, living in silence, carrying the weight of secrets that shaped the world without anyone knowing her name. She had been forged in the harshest crucibles, but now she wanted something simpler, to help, to guide, to serve without violence. Yet even peace demanded strength. As night settled over the base, Harper walked toward the barracks. Her steps were quiet, but her presence was no longer invisible. Everyone who passed her sensed something different now. Something powerful, grounded, unbreakable. She was no longer just the quiet logistics officer. She was Lieutenant Harper Blake. Combat master, strategist, protector, and the living proof that true warrior spirit didn't roar, it radiated. And in the span of 12 unforgettable seconds, a legend had been born. If you want to see even better stories like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, leave a comment, and press the bell icon for more updates.